The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be live.
Greetings, my fellow warriors, boy Mikemo, and today we're back. It's been quite some time I've covered any topic fitness because for the longest I've been busy with family, still training harder than ever and making PRs on a weekly, monthly, and yearly basis, just at a very much slow pace. So today we're going to cover the death of a bodybuilder known as Mr. Justyn Vicky, Justin with a YN and Vicky Vicky. Justin Vicky is a bodybuilder from Bali that unfortunately met his demise squatting a load of 450 pounds. And it's a very sad event because all that thing could have been avoided very easily, you know. And that's why I'm making this video, because I wanted hopefully anyone who will come through this video to understand that, you know, stuff like that are not common, so it should not deter you from journey enlist on the journey, you know, set out on the journey of fitness, of weightlifting, you know. Death like that occur rarely, very rarely, but it's there, and that is there to remind us that weightlifting and resistance training, as much as it has been known to help us improve our lifestyle, you know, our health, is being a blessing for the longest. It can be a very deadly endeavor when practiced in the wrong manner of thing, and being overwhelmed by so much information nowadays on social media. It can easily be led on the wrong path, right? And in the wrong path, I mean the path of ego lifting, for example, the path of not really knowing how to lift, because so many people out there are so-called professional and role model influencers can lead you on the wrong path, and instead of teaching you the proper ways of carrying the endeavor, you could easily be, you know, lifting without the right protocol. And today I'm hoping that I can help any new trainee, because I'm sure anybody who has some type of experience most likely will not listen to me, because everybody tends to believe they know everything. And speaking of that, you know, I've received some comments on my PR of weighted deep lately of 210 kilograms that I was ego lifting, and that's from, and the funny thing is I asked the person, why would you tell me that that's ego lifting, that I'm gonna injure myself? And I'm like, how old are you, and what makes you say that? How long have you been lifting? He said, oh well, I'm a couch potato and 0 years of lifting, but even I can tell that you're gonna hurt your shoulder. So, you know, you have a lot of these individuals that really don't know what they're talking about, and instead of having some positive insights or stay quiet, they will just say some nonsensical stuff. So in terms of ego lifting, all that, I mean, even though I digress, it's all that to say that ego lifting is a thing, but people tend to people tend to overblow on it, and people tend to underblow on it. So it all depends on the circumstances and who is serving the plates. And in this case, I want to be careful, because I believe the man, God bless his soul and rest in peace, from what I've seen, had probably no business handling such weight. Even though I've seen that on 440 kilogram, like a 200 kg, I went on his IG, because before I talk about the topic, I like to do a little bit of research. He didn't move the weight pretty decently, but it didn't go as smooth as it would go, and his form was not how it's supposed to be. So from the get-go, his way of squatting, even though everybody has a different way of squatting, it just didn't seem stable. It felt a little too janky and unstable. So that was one thing that caught my attention, but we can overlook it, and that's one point. I would not say it was ego lifting, even though clearly if you get overwhelmed by the weight, that most likely because you ego lifted. But the point has to be, the emphasis has to be made on the spotter. He made it or break it. Like, he is, I won't say the responsible, right? Because at the end of the day, the responsibility is laid upon the one who's deciding to live, right? The spotter was just there to do the right thing, to help the gentleman, but unfortunately he had no business spotting because he was way too far away from the lifter. Like, when I say too far away, that means he was not hands-on. He had his hand further, in the leverage that was not favorable, because you are there actually to act as a lifter in case the person fail, right? You have to really be close to the person, to the point of hugging the person, hug the torso of the person, because even if it wasn't even the neck that got crushed, like unfortunately happened in this video, it could be the spine, right? You round your spine and you herniated a bunch of disc or paralyze yourself, who knows. That's like the worst circumstances. And speaking of that, maybe it's a blessing in disguise that the gentleman passed, because the way his neck got crushed, if he survived, he probably will lose function of half of his body, and maybe be in a vegetable state, and just horrible. And it's a really bad picture overall when you paint it. And yes, the spotter should have done a better job. And I've seen the previous videos of his PRs heading to that demise. It was the same. I think it's the same. At least two of the videos, it was the same spot, and he spotted him the same way. And in those circumstances, he was able to overcome the weight. But unfortunately, when it was time to do his role, to act as a spotter, he just failed because he was too far away. And I'm not gonna blame that gentleman, because obviously he didn't intend to fail the man, but he was just not in the proper. He just didn't have the proper knowledge when it comes to spotting people. And speaking of that, I would urge you guys to, before you pick a spotter, especially for thresholds of loads that are dangerous, like we're playing with your max is something that you never touched before. You want to get somebody that you trust is knowledgeable in fitness, in weightlifting, and understand what's the role of the spotter. In this case, for example, you could have had 3 different people, right? That's how powerlifters do. Like, you have one in the middle and you have one on each side, so that when in addition to the person in the middle that's supposed to spot you by actually assisting your torso, is supposed to hug your torso and then assist you and to get back up. He's not supposed to hold the weight and try to lift the weight, because there's no way you can bicep curl 400 pounds or 300 pounds. If you have 135 pounds, okay, 60 kg, that's understandable. Okay, you can just be like that, when you're spotting, you're like a weaker person. But when you're in the hundreds of pounds, there's no way you can stay like that and just hope that the person will do or play of the psychology of that. Then pretty much you're just playing a psychological role in that picture. You're not really there to save the person, because you have to be hands-on, and if you need it, if it's something that's really astronomical, you should have people on the side, right? And then let's talk about the elephant in the room. How the hell don't you have any safety ball, right? Safety bars are there to play the role of safety. Every gym is supposed to have like a squat rack with the safety bars. And when you don't have the safety bar, the number one thing you have to learn is to know how to bail out. Because even with the safety bar, right, when you get crushed, sometimes you don't have to wait for the bar, because you may not have the mobility to descend in a graceful manner before the safety bar help you. You need to learn how to dump the weight. So the way I treated this breakdown is I just narrowed down to slowly from the less likely reason why he met his demise to the most important reason why he met, that end, that tragic end. That is because he did not know how to bail out of a squat and how to handle tremendous amount of weight. Every single individual, no matter what loads you are moving, you need to learn how to bail out, and it's not that hard, right? Whenever you on eccentric and trying to get back on the concentric, the overcoming part of the movement, and you get crushed, you're supposed to open your chest and dump the weight in the back. And in with that picture, this guy in the back, he probably didn't even need that person, right? Because he could have just dumped the weight in the back and not feel and not letting the weight just, I just having a hard time picturing what happened, man. It's sad, man. It's because it's in between trusting that the person in your back will probably do the job right? Because if not, my reflex will be to dump the weight, right? I wouldn't care much if somebody is in the back or not, because that's how I train. Like when I overcome, that's why I made a video like maybe 8 years ago about why you should not, what I don't need a spotter, right? Because in my way, I like when I go for something, I like to think that I have it almost 100% of the time, right? And if I don't have the confidence of the load and I have not drilled and narrowed down to the point that I'm confident of getting the weight, I will not go for it. And that's what I'm very meticulous about, attempting max attempts, because you can easily injure yourself, right? And I don't like spotters, but I do use spotters once in a while, just for the mental confidence sometimes, to know that okay, you can just give 150% and not worry about reserving a little bit in the tank just in case you need more energy to bail out. And that's a different mindset for like elite performance, endeavors. But for normal gym attempt, man, like there's no reason why this individual should not have been alive right now. It's very, very sad and unfortunate. And yes, everybody needs to learn how to dump the weight. It's so simple, so easy, but it comes with practice and understanding that you will be fine, and that the weight once dumped is okay. Especially squatting without a spotter, this type of racks. Yeah, the way to get out of it from being crushed is just to dump, right? And yeah, it's hard for me to understand, right? How you get overwhelmed sitting, so you get from extension of your spine, or quote unquote neutral, arguably neutral, to flexion, to overflexion, and then it slide over on your neck. It just, because usually the worst thing that happens is it slides from the flexion of your spine. You get you kind of compress the spine and you hurt it a little bit, and whatever damage you have happened, but at least it still stays on the shelf, right, of the trap. But this time it just rolled on the other side. That's why it's hard for me not to think of the fact that the spotter was there. Just made it worse. And I wish the spotter had done a better job, and I wish they had some safety bars to help him. And I wish he knew how to dump the weight, and I wish he didn't have to go for that load that he was not ready for. So that's how I'm gonna end the video. It's unfortunate. Rest in peace, Mr. Justyn Vicky. I'm not gonna show the video here, but you can Google YouTube bodybuilders in Bali dies while squatting 450 pounds. It's pretty much all over the place, and it's very horrible, man. And may that not be a reason for you to be afraid to keep pushing and striving for strength, but it has to be done in the safest manner with the proper methods and protocol. You have to peak properly, and when it's time to send it, you send it. And on top of that, you have some safety and precaution measure that you can take. Like I said again, having safety bars, that's what they are made for. There's no shame to have them. Some people, I see them sometimes squatting and stepping out of the safety rack just for what? Ego lifting. That's pretty much the definition of ego lifting. Now when you're seeing somebody lifting some weight that you cannot lift and you want to judge the person's form, that's not ego lifting. Ego lifting is when you do some unnecessary stuff just for the sake of impressing people. Because if it's not for that, why would you step all the way out 5 steps back from the squat rack just so you can do ass to grass? And that's the reason they will tell you, oh, when I go ass to grass, the safety bar to get the bar touch the safety bar. That's a lie. You can adjust the bar low enough that you can still ass to grass and have the safety bars there just in case something happens, right? And then those type of people are not the people who can even bail out when shit comes down to worse. It's just, this world is very, very intriguing when you look around. And I'm just gonna pray for the world to get better, and you should pray for the clarity and the clarity of your mind to help you make the right decision when it's time to. Because sometimes you can be ready and do all the right thing, and just the moments of inattention or loss of focus make you pick the wrong decision, and lead you to trouble and sometimes your demise. So that's that. So to sum it up, be careful out there. Strength training can be a very beautiful thing, but it is still weight that people are moving, and when applied in the wrong leverage, it can hurt us and sometimes kill us. It's rare, but it can happen. So be careful, guy. Next time the squat, what can we learn from this guy? Be sure you can handle the load. Practice. Make sure that whenever you attempt a load, it's not just for ego lifting. It's just because you have taken all the precautions to overcome the load. That's number 1. Number 2, pick your spotter. Pick the one that knows what he's done, and make sure that when he's get there, he's there to assist you, hold your torso when you crumble, because that's pretty much how you get injured. Your torso and spine collapse, so you need to have somebody close enough to you that he can hug you and then hold you for the time that you re-rack the bar. Number 3, don't be ashamed to use the safety racks. It helps a lot, and everybody should use the safety rack no matter what. And number 4, that's everybody in need to learn how to bail out of the load. That's that's the number 1 rule whenever you're squatting, even though it means that's a protocol that you will be taking when the weight is too heavy. Nobody wants to maneuver loads that are overwhelming or too heavy, because that's not the right approach. But it can happen sometimes. You can be sick, or just that day you don't have it, and when it's time to, you should be able to bail out and kick the weight out. And that's the number 1 rule. That's what everybody should be comfortable doing it. I when I say go to practice it just to get comfortable with it, because it should be instinctive, but just understanding that it can be done in a safe manner without being hurt should be something to keep in the back of your mind. Just when you need to use it, you use it. So that's that. Because with that man should have been with us right now. Rest in peace, Mr. Justyn Vicky, and may we use that as a lesson and be more careful. And unfortunately, that's a gentleman that I didn't know, and is famous now because he met his demise. And it's sad that in this world now, that's the type of thing that you can get viral for, you know. But it is what it is. Hopefully I don't get viral for something similar to me in spite of having been around for quite some time, you know. So yeah, that's that. Hopefully it was pretty useful, and it was a way for me to get back. I haven't done any of these videos, such similar videos, in a long time. I'm just putting my vlogs, my recap of training, just to show that I'm still around. And I just lost the train of making videos, and it's a young blood game now. So I won't say I retired from making videos, but I just ease up onto it and just focus on anything else but the digital life. So life is good, and I can't complain. I'm blessed with my offspring and my family and wife and everything. So job is good. So yeah, can't complain. Everything is and will always be the mechanical way. Salute.
The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be live.